I can be the Scottish fish and chip man and give you a hard time.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
And action.
Excuse me. Could I have some fish and chips?
Hey, you smell a bar of fish and chips?
What?
Just checking you. I'm just saying you want for some fish and chips.
No chicken, just chips and fish,
Chicken?
please.
Anyway, you going on about chips, fish chips, right?
Yes, please. Fish and chips.
You want a bit of peas and bit of peas in them?
I don't want any darn vegetables.
So I mean, you want large size or small, or just small, regular?
What?
You want sausage? Sausage.
No.
You want some curry? You want some curry on it? There's curry on it. It's spicy curry, normal curry.
Just curry.
On you spicy or normal?
Normal.
Yeah.
Please.
This spicy, like spices. You want it on your on fish chips?
Ned.
Ned?
Eddie.
No, I'm not.
Eddie.
No, I'm not Eddie or Ned. You daft foreigner. You want deep fried Masba?
No, thank you.
No, I don't. Did you hear me? I said you want a deep fried Masba.
I did. Hey, what?
Deep fried Masba. It's like like you take the Masba, you deep fry it in like batter. You want one?
Oh.
Stick on your fish and chips for you, like a dessert or something.
Yes, okay. Oh my. Thank
All right.
you.
That'll be £15, please.
What?
£15.
I don't have that much. I only brought 10.
Right. I'll give you just the chips then.
No.
Let me just scrape the curry off and I'll just give you the chips.
No, I'm hungry.
Get out.
Please.
Get out.
Okay.
Marjorie, we've had another one. Get out. Told you once. Out.
I'm sorry.
Maude, it's a Maude Cast, season 2, spied on ice cream binger. Tuppence, the guinea pig owner, non-ultraviolet tattoo on your leg. Shameful court Bible underliner, shameless skinny dipper. Shameful court Bible underliner, shameless skinny dipper. A one-man, two-man Truman Show protagonist, unflustered disco duck face smiler. Maude Cast, season 2, episode 16. What about that?
Yeah, welcome. Loud.
You're welcome.
Yes.
How's Zaz? How's Lord Zaz?
I'm good. Tired, but good.
So the milk smell is fading now, and the burn smell is fading. And thankfully, after our one-man, two-man, one-man Truman Show based on Maude's life, we're set free. The stamp case was dropped, and the Sphinx in the Dougie has now been melted down and sold into little Maude-shaped nuggets of dirt, like dirty metal. So that's what we say in the business is the arc is complete. Our story arc is complete there. So, are we experiencing a little bit of calmness in the Maude Flanders Internet Museum knockoff theme park database fishmonger and hotcake restaurant this week?
Yeah, we've come full circle, and I think we're about to be back on our feet in a big way.
In a big way, I think. I think now is a chance to just check in on something that happened a while back. The World Flandball Contest happened. Now, your plan was to withdraw from the competition on the day, thus undercutting the confidence of your team, turning them against each other. But after their fight, your aim was to bring them ultimately together. Now, obviously, you were in prison and weren't able to withdraw them, and they actually won the competition and became world flandball champions. So what's your take on that?
Well, we need a new staff because they've all now gone on to better things since winning.
Well, yeah, half of our curry production line did leave to become professional flandball players. So we did. I think your plan really, probably in the long term, was good because some of our curry packing superstars, Maude Flanders Curry is obviously our fourth biggest selling product. Most of those guys have gone off, and to be honest, I think there's only one chap attempting to run the entire curry line by himself. And last time I went in there was a lot of curry on the floor, a lot of curry on the floor, and very little in the Maud Flanders shaped curry bottles.
Yeah, so now it just smells of very faint milk and curry.
And fire.
And fire.
But
no, he's not doing a very good job, so we'll probably have to let him go. But we'll let him work the month, and then we'll tell him.
I would say that we probably want to consider hiring some more people. We don't want to leave the curry line entirely unintended. Otherwise, we may end up with even with a room filled with curry, and the curry coming out of the windows and doors, and none actually in the Maud Flanders shaped bottles for us to sell. But that's for another day. Yeah,
I did have an interview the other day with someone who seems like a real up and comer. So that's
oh yeah,
I think we should put him on the. He looked like Stamp, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't.
Ah, was it that little chap with a mustache who kept proclaiming that he definitely never worked there before and he was brand new to the area?
Yeah.
Yeah. He looked a lot like Stamp, that guy, but with a drawn-on mustache. Did you notice his mustache was fake? It was like a mascara pen.
Yeah, he told me. It was the first thing he mentioned in the interview.
Ah, I mean that what that does is that backs up the idea that he's definitely not Stamp, because if he was Stamp and he was trying to disguise himself, the very last thing he would do is immediately tell you in the very opening of his interview. Exactly. Before we move on from the Maud Flanders Internet Museum talk, we know that we're one of a worldwide hub of 47 Maud Flanders worldwide internet museums and databases. And I got an email. It was actually an email that had been printed out and sent by carrier pigeon from St. Kitts and Nevis, the second oldest TMF-IDB on the planet, on the whole planet. Yeah. And what St. Kitts and Nevis said is, help, it was written in a very shaky hand, help, we're under attack by flaming hobgoblins. And then it trailed off and the bottom of the paper was covered in blood. Oh, Maud, help us all was just smeared in blood at the bottom. And I just wondered, It's been a couple of days since I got it, but I just thought I'd pass this on to you and to see whether this was your area and if you can follow up with this.
Yeah, well, I did see something on Reddit about that.
All right, so go on.
I think it's true. I think there's a real, sincere hobgoblin problem.
Down on St. Kitts and Nevis. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. So I think we need to send some help.
Let's make a plan. Let's sit down together when we get a bit of time and formulate a plan to see if we can somehow win back the St. Kitts and Nevis Maud Flanders Internet Museum database and hotcake factory from the hobgoblins who have unfortunately taken over.
Yes.
To be honest, we just talked about our arcs kind of finishing, and this does feel like, along with that mysterious new employee, that does feel suspicious like the beginning of a new series of arcs. It's not, is it? Please tell me that we can have at least a few weeks of normalcy before madness ensues.
Yeah, no, I think it'll all work out. We just won't send anybody to Scotland for 2 weeks. Okie
dokie. Just to point, St. Kitts and Nevis isn't in Scotland. It's an island in the Caribbean.
No.
Exactly. It's not Ben Nevis, the mountain.
Yeah.
I'll cut that out. We don't want anyone in the world knowing that you'd somehow mistaken Ben Nevis for Kitts and Ben Nevis.
I'm fine with that.
Alrighty. Hello, good morning, and welcome. Don't eat ham, buddy. Brought to you by the Maude Cast Incorporation, a division of Multiple Conger Reels. Sponsors, TV show Lost. Sponsor, Twin Peaks Log Lady. Sponsor, Vivacious Potential All-Stars RuPaul Drag Race Season 9 All-Stars contestant. Sponsor, Cerebus the Aardvark from before Dave Sim went super weird and misogynistic. Sponsor, Scott Walker, R.I.P. The sun ain't gonna shine anymore. Sponsor, Jacques Requiem for a Dream, Derrida. And sponsor, Susan Boyle, Facebook, R.I.P. A lot of sponsors there, Nathan. Do you think we need to thin out the sponsors at some point? Maybe have a sponsor off to see who we're going to allow to sponsor us.
Yeah, I believe some of the contracts are going to run out within the next couple of weeks, so we're going to have to look into new sponsorship, I think.
We'll have a look, maybe for season 3. So, a Derrida quote. He went off haunting the spectre. A spectre is haunting Twitter, he said, and he apparently did find the spectre. It was Mark Spector, Moon Knight, and apparently he pantsed him. That is to put, rip his pants down when he was in a public place, and that was enough to halt the spectre that was haunting Facebook and Twitter. And here's his quote from this week.
I believe in the value of the book, which keeps something irreplaceable, and in the necessity of fighting to secure its respect.
Maude would be all over this one, because as we know, she keeps both a diary and a sketchbook, so I think she knows the importance of those things in her life.
And beyond that, Derrida is obsessed with ghosts and memory, right? And that wasn't why initially I picked him. I picked him initially because he came round to my house and tried to flog his book of quotes, and he happened to drop one on the way out. So that's why I'm using these. It's a complete coincidence. However, Maude's diary allows us, and that's irreplaceable, and we will fight to secure the respect of Maude's diary, because without that, we would have lost a very valuable insight into this woman, the least important character in TV history, to quote Nathan O'Leary, circa 2012, and the most important character in TV history, to quote Nathan O'Leary, 2020. He hasn't said that yet, but I think he will soon.
Yes, that's the big reveal. Not yet, though.
Not yet. Don't give anything away. All right, we got time for a quick Mauditorium. Give me a number between 1 and 254.
254.
Oh, good Lord. You're not going to like this. 254, a secret keeper.
She is a secret keeper. We've established that already, I think, haven't we? Have we?
We have established on some level that she's a secret keeper. We conjectured that she secretly ate ice cream a lot, and that she secretly would keep scrapbooks about homophobic hate crimes scrapbook. We know that. But inside the actual TV show canon that we've seen with our own eyes, what kind of secrets was Maude keeping?
So far, they're a bit more of a... they're not really like concrete physical secrets. They're more like secret opinions. Because again, she's very, very closed off. She doesn't really tell you what she's thinking. So I think she's keeping a lot of secret thoughts, particularly about, I would say, Marge, Helen, and Homer she's not too secret about. She's quite open in her disdain for him. But, Marge, I think her feelings towards Marge are still quite secretive, except for when she kicks her out of her house.
Yes. I think she plays her cards close to her chest. But we haven't seen her keeping any straight-up secrets except for that ice cream eating, which we assume is a secret because she's doing it in a room that nobody else can see. But other than that, we haven't seen her do too many nefarious things under the guise of, under the cover of darkness.
No, not yet. But there's still, he still has 7 seasons to be alive yet.
But would you flip that and make an argument that she's quite an open and honest person?
No. Also, it's 5 seasons because 6 plus 5 is 11. Not 6 plus 7.
No.
No, I don't think she is. I think she can be if she wants to be, but I don't think she is naturally.
Because as a follower of the Lord Jesus Christ and God, she would pride I believe it's one of the 10 rules that, don't tell fibs, be honest. Now, I'm not saying that all Christians are 100% honest, but Maude, as a Christian, doesn't seem to be open to being honest. Does she ever open her heart even to Neddy and let those deep, dark secrets out?
I don't think so. I think she will have one person, one like confidant who she shares all of her inner feelings with, but that very well could be the diary, or it could be somebody that we've not seen her interact with yet.
Oh, so we're on the lookout for that one person she can be honest with, and maybe that person is a big old book that you've got in your possession. Now, if you're new to the show, Nathan has in his possession, in his house, near the bins, near Worsley Mains, right 2 doors down from Cash Mutilator, he's got a big old diary he found in the bin that belonged to Magdalene Goodman Flanders Goodman. Yeah.
Huge.
So, well, that was a lot of chat. I think we definitely hit our allotted 15 minutes of chatopolis. And shall we move on to clips? Content,
yes.
we call it.
Let's do it.
All right. Would you like to give some context to this content, Nathan O'Leary, my biological brother?
Sure. We've moved into season 6 now, which is I thought she was more prominent, to be honest, but she's appeared a few times, but I thought she was in almost every episode, so she's but we're already like halfway through by the end of this one. There's the one, I'm going to look at the one with Bart's girlfriend, Jessica Lovejoy.
The little
evil. And then, quite frankly, I've forgotten.
Quite frankly. So there's one that involves Homer really getting quite amorous.
Oh yeah.
To the detriment of the Flanders front lawn. And then there's one where we see a Maude flashback.
Oh yeah, the big one. One of the big ones.
And then throwing in a teaser for next week, just a little bit of a hint of a Flanders yet to come. And so, Clip 1, we are in church, and Bart he's in like basically a cage in church, like Hannibal Lecter. And we can just see glimmers of Maude behind the family. The Flanders family sat behind the Simpsons. Lisa gets up to read an offering or read like something from the Bible or whatever, a reading. And she gets on a bit of a rant about how people have judged Bart without any proof. And she knows that basically some money's gone missing, right? She knows that Jessica Lovejoy's stolen it. And so Lisa urges the criminal to come forward. And first up, Skinner gives up that he smelled some weed smoke when he was in Nam. Then Grampa claims that he cancelled Star Trek. Hibbert claims he left his keys inside someone. And during a few clips of this, we can just see the motionless back of Maude's head. She's not reacting. She's just sitting, staring stony face towards the front, possibly grinning inanely as we know that she does it from time to time. Again, yes.
Yeah. I wonder what Maude would have confessed if she felt the urge, and I wonder if she came close to doing what Skinner, Grampa, and Hibbert did.
Oh, great question, and much in keeping with the secret thing that we were talking about before. Maybe there's a burning Maude secret that this was her chance, but she was chopped off by those three superstars before she got the chance. Would you like to conjecture what she would have splurted out?
Yes, if I was writing it as a Simpsons writer and I chose Maude and I wanted it to be something along those same lines, I think I would go for something like, I hate my children.
Yes, something along those lines are, basically, I'm
unhappy.
But basically, I want to watch this town burn.
Yeah.
Something like this. Something where she would let out that dark secret we've hinted at that says, like, to be honest, she's as happy, if not more happy, when things are when shit's hitting the fan.
Yeah, so I think that would be one of her I hate this town, maybe.
I hate all of you and hope
Yes.
you all burn in hell, which I know you will do.
Yeah.
We come back to Lisa, and Lisa says, "Judge not, lest you be judged." And we do. You see, it shows Lisa from the back, and it pans out across the entire church, and we see another candidate for the worst Maude drawing ever. You just see a little bit underneath Lisa's arm, and again, it's like you can't. She's one of those characters that if you don't draw her right, it does look incredibly amateurish. I'm sure it's the same for most characters, but it seems like they can get away with a sketch of most characters and they're passable. But if you don't actually draw Maude with the right proportions, it just looks like a splodge with she just looks like a froggy splodge.
Yeah. She looks kind of like she's been drawn in another TV show, like Bob's Burgers or something along those lines.
She does look more like a Bob's Burgers character, definitely. And I wonder, we do the Maude art section. I wonder whether we should have been collecting these. I've collected a couple, but it would be great if we go back through and find the 10 worst Maude drawings as a segment in one of these episodes, because there's some real humdingers. Anyway.
Maybe that'll be the season 2 finale special bonus clip.
Could well be. So Lisa is trying to get Jessica to give her game away, but she's stone-faced. So Maude's sitting there, hands clasped in front of her again, just kind of staring blankly at the front. She doesn't seem to find this of any interest whatsoever. This emotional roller coaster that the Simpsons family on is water off a duck's back to Maude, especially after she's been through fires and car chases and serial killers on their trail. So this kind of this little bit of cash gone missing, it means nothing to her. So
no.
Maude's sitting there with her stone-faced duck face, and Lisa shouts, "If you search her room," this is talking about Jessica Lovejoy, "you'll find the money." And Homer immediately jumps to his feet and shouts, "To the little girl's room." Maude begins to look concerned at this. We're not sure why, but in a second she flips and she is angry.
Yes.
She's angered, and she immediately gets to her feet and follows Homer and the mob. Maude loves a mob. She loves a mob. We see her front and center in this. We see her front and center in this small child's bedroom as Mo is using some kind of machinery to lift up the mattress rather than doing it with his arms. Maude in classic Maude mode of just standing with her arms next to her and just kind of leaning forward. She does this weird kind of like arms by her side but leaning forward. And then they lift up the bed to see the cash. And again, Maude's gone, nowhere to be seen. She loves the mob. She likes getting right in there. And then you look around and she's done one back in her house doing some knitting or whatever.
This might be the quickest. We've seen her at the town meetings and then later on she's not been involved. This is the quickest turnaround for her because she is involved. She's in that first bit when they find the money, and then you don't see her again in the room at all.
No, so what normally would have happened is that she would have been in the church, she would have run along, but she would have never got to the place they were going. She would have gone somewhere else, and then you wouldn't have seen her again for the entire episode. But this time she actually made it to the place. But literally, as soon as Mo lifted up that mattress and saw the money, she must have been, okay, that's enough for me, I'm gone. And she just left. She said she got all of the goodness of the bad feelings and the judgment, but she managed to get out before anyone, before she had to do anything that might require her to actually invest any energy or emotions in this.
Maybe. I have one speculation about this whole sort of scene.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's Jessica Lovejoy, who is Meryl Streep, by the way, and I think this is one of the best voice guests where you just can't tell who it is. It's not very noticeable that it's Meryl Streep.
Streep is very good, though. I've seen it. Streep as Thatcher and Streep as... Is the Devil Wears Prada? Is that Streep?
Yes.
Not only does she have an awesome name, Streep, she's a great actor in my book. Now, I'm no judge of actors. I'm not saying that I run some kind of high-level acting school. I don't. But just as a layman, I'll give her a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, agreed. The matter at hand, though, I imagine that Maude already, given that it's, the Lovejoy's daughter, I imagine that she already knows how problematic she is because, she'd already been sent off to boarding school. She comes back now because she's expelled. Don't really know what happens to her after this. I think she just kind of sticks around and just doesn't speak. But yeah, I think Maude would already know all of this information, which is why she doesn't really have a reaction to it. But then again, she jumps on the mob sort of bandwagon because she loves to do that, and she's very she's very sort of like swept up in all the mob rule sort of thing every time. But I also think that maybe she was with Helen somewhere else in the house, as I don't think we see Helen either.
To be honest, it would be suspicious had Helen run along and got in there while a mob, Helen would be more likely to say, how dare you, let us look and make this decision rather than letting the entire mob go in. And it leads me to thinking, Maude's friends, air quotes, friends with Helen Lovejoy. We know from her diary that she has no respect for Helen Lovejoy. But how does Maude feel now and think about Lovejoy, especially in relation to Lovejoy's children?
Well, I think the way that I just called Maude Homer, that's a new one.
I think that's 2 coins at least.
Yeah.
Double ka-ching.
I think the way that Maude feels about that and Lisa is nothing in comparison to the way she feels about Jessica Lovejoy. Because again, Bart in this episode is proven to sort of be much nicer and more moral than Jessica Lovejoy. So I think Maude will just, the way she judges Marge's parenting skills, I imagine she really doubles down on Helen's, given that Jessica is a rip.
She is. She's a bleeding little rip, she is. And I think it's a weird one because if she really respected Helen and the Reverend Lovejoy, she would have been shocked and she would have been perplexed by this. But you've got a bit of a feeling that she's kind of tutting to herself and saying, yeah, of course. What would you expect from those 2 hypocrites not even raising their child, sending that child away to boarding school? Like we said, we've entertained the idea that maybe Maude is homeschooling the boys at some point so they get a real education, because we only see them pop up in schools occasionally. So she would probably come down very hard on a family who decided to send their kid away.
Yes. Let's keep in mind that only a few weeks ago in our time, but it could have been days, it could have been years for Maude, did she tell Ned that the church was a house of love and forgiveness? She
did, but first of all, she probably didn't mean that. She's probably just saying it. Second of all, she did not mean that the Lovejoys represented that. And she clearly seems to feel that although she has a strong Christian faith and love of God, though somewhat hard to understand, she does not seem to have a lot of respect. We haven't seen any respect for the Lovejoys. To be honest, she has very little respect for anyone at all. But she's certainly not displayed any respect for the Lovejoy family.
Yeah, I can't think of a person we've seen her really display any kind of just consistent respect for. The closest might possibly be Mr. Burns, but she still doesn't know that he's secretly filming her eating ice cream.
We got to assume at this point the amount of times she's seen Burns do despicable stuff that off camera she does not hold him in high regard. Although, people will perplex you with these sometimes. Right now there's I don't know if you follow world politics, but in a big country, one of the biggest, they have a president. Call him the president, not prime ministers. And this chap's kind of a controversial chap. He says a lot of silly things. And he's not well respected in many places. And yet, lots and lots of people think that chap's doing a great job and should be given another few years to kind of get his hands in those pies. So sometimes you think, logic will prevail, and then people will hit you with some real perplexing views.
Is that the president of the island of Ben Nevis?
It's the Lord High Juror of the island of Ben Nevis and St. Kitts. Yes. God rest their souls. So, moving on to clip 2. You see, this is why I did like to have only a few clips, because I think there's a lot of Maude open road that we can go in. And when we load ourselves up on 6 to 8 clips, we can't really explore the nooks and crannies of Maudeville. So I think...
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of her in the next one, but kind of at the same time, not really. Well,
let's move on. Let's not keep these listeners in what's the word? Anticipation, suspense. Those are the words I'm looking for. Yeah. Saucy Marge Simpson, the next door neighbour, is hugging a semi-naked Homer Simpson. Homer, the morning, and Homer says, "Where are my pants?" And actually, this is one of my favourite lines. I haven't heard it for a long time, but I love it. Marge says, "You threw them out of the window in a fit of passion and said you were never going to need them again."
Yeah.
Cut to Ned with a big stick in his garden trying to knock Homer's jeans, his pants, out of a tree while Maude stands next to him with a garbage bag open, ready to catch them. And Ned's having a good go at poking them. They're right in the top of the tree. "Oh, hurry, Neddy, they're awful." And she's, pained expression, pained voice, ready to catch these dirty, filthy Simpsons trousers. And Ned says, "You just be ready with that garbage bag," because they don't want it to hit ground. God knows what will happen if they hit the Flanders front lawn and start crawling away.
Exactly.
Yeah,
a small but pivotal scene. This is one of the few times where you sort of see the Simpsons coming across slightly better than the Flanders, or sort of the more normal. Like the Simpsons are the one who are sort of just like having the loving conversation, and then the Flanders are the ones outside being weird.
To be honest, Homer did throw his trousers out of the window and into the trees. So if you wake up in the morning with a pair of your next door neighbor's pants in your tree, they're challenging you, and you then get a big stick and try and get them out. There's an argument that you are acting more logical and normal there than they were.
Yeah, maybe
they're equally bonkers and they deserve each other.
Yeah, but the Simpsons seem to be happier in this moment than the Flanders. Like Homer and Marge are talking to each other nicely, and meanwhile, Ned's kind of frantically, like snapping at Maude a little bit.
It's true, but it's almost the equivalent if Homer had gone and taken a dump and then smeared his dirty khaki arse all over their front window. The way they're reacting is similar to that.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Which might be an overreaction, but, was Homer wearing underpants? And if so, where did they go? And if not, God help Maude when they actually pass by her face and into that garbage bag. Let's hope that she's got her angle right and that the pants don't fall directly onto her face and she inhales Homer's sweaty crotch.
Yeah, I think that should have been how the scene ended, but they missed a golden opportunity for those pants to fall out the window and hit Maude, fall out the tree.
I think here's what I would do, and I would have extended that to about 5 to 10 minutes, although we are into Family Guy territory here, where the pants hit her and then she wrestles and falls and is unable to get them off her face. And then Ned's attempting to get them off, and then, possibly the underpants fall from the tree onto Ned's head. And I think there's a good 5 minutes in there. If I was writing it, which is probably why I'll never be allowed to write episodes of The Simpsons or any TV show.
I think it would pass pretty easily now. I think you'd easily get away with that.
Just filling time, isn't it? With it, if what I've heard about the recent Simpsons episodes is true, that would be most of the episode.
Yeah, I'll keep you posted on that because I watched the most recent season recently and did enjoy it. quite thoroughly. But
Okay.
prior to that, there's some absolute balls of flaming garbage.
I would like to check out the highs and lows of late period Simpsons. I think until we get to Maude's passing, God rest her soul, I'm more or less up to date. But after that, these will be brand new to me. And I wonder how that'll be because, you know, these clips I've seen before and they're beloved. These clips are beloved to me from my days of watching Simpsons episodes multiple times. But I'd say probably season 11, 12, I've barely seen any of them, which obviously that doesn't set me in very good stead to run a Simpsons podcast. But, you know,
who knows? Not a lot changes. So I'm pretty. I think I stuck around till maybe like 25, 26, and then I kind of drifted out of it. But I intend to watch them all because I need to check for some accidental background mods.
Exactly. Accidental background mods would be awesome. We found several of them, and there's a theme running through of that they're accidentally or even deliberately posting mods. Because we did find one that you claimed, no spoilers, spoiler, that you claimed that there is at least one accidental background mod in a later season.
2. I found 2 so far.
Wow. Yeah, maybe reusing old stock stuff, or maybe just in a fit. In a brain fart, they threw in a deceased character. What do you think the chances are of one day the Simpsons waking up to find Maude Flanders' pants or skirt, Maude Flanders' pants or skirt thrown willy-nilly into their front yard?
I think there was only one time that could have possibly happened, and it is when post-death, Ned gets the Simpson family to help them clean out Maude's stuff, and Homer and Bart put it all in a large wood chipper.
Oh yeah, we talked about that. Yes, we've talked about before how they absolutely disrespected all of Ned's property, including his most prized possessions relating to Maude. But we'll get to that later in the day.
Yeah. So I think that would be the only example of a time that any of her items of clothing, other than the time that maybe they bought everything and Homer bought everything for like $10 and they were sat in the garden wearing like the Maude Loves Nell t-shirts.
Yeah. That's one of those things where it wouldn't have been too far amiss to have Homer wearing a pair of Maude's knickers on his head.
Yeah.
That's where I would have gone with that scene, not just the T-shirt, but probably using her shoes to hold his sparkling wine.
Yes.
Clip 3. This is a biggie for you. Young Maude, ? Is what I've written. Marge, next door neighbor, Marge Simpson, walks in through the door, and we see her sisters, Patty and Selma. We see Luann Van Houten, the Lovejoys, the Hibberts. Only the ladies, and that woman with the red scarf, you'll have to tell me who it is later, I can't remember. It's a surprise baby shower. She is pregnant, and Marge says, oh, you know, I haven't told Homie, he'll be home any minute. And they do that false start where the wind blows the door open, and then you think, oh, it's just the wind, and then Homer comes in instantly. Whew, the old switcheroo. I don't know if back in the 90s that would have tricked anyone. I don't think so. I think everyone would have known exactly what was happening in that gag from the year 0. It's windy as hell. Hey, wait a minute. What are all these presents? Maude at that point, because she is there too, looks concerned. And Homer says, it looks like you're showering Marge with gifts. Picks up a little baby shirt. Little tiny baby-sized gifts. Homer suspects nothing. He's heading upstairs for a bath. And Big Mouth, Maude Flanders, who, to be honest, even though this is this Bart or Lisa or Maggie in the belly? It's Maggie, right?
Yeah, it's Maggie, so it's only like a year ago.
It's only a year before. Big Mouth Maude shouts, by the way, congratulations on your new job, Homer. And waves at him in kind of a weird way. And Homer then, the penny drops. New job? Marge is pregnant. He pulls out the remainder of his hair, screams, and we see more really strange kind of like 3/4 above angle where she's got they don't quite know how to draw her, and she has this very kind of like pointy face. Maybe you can throw it up for the people on the YouTube. So what's going on there?
There's a lot to unpack. I'll start off by not talking about Maude. I'll talk about that woman you mentioned, who is Ruth Powers, who only moved into the next door house in like season 4 when Maggie was very much 1 year old. So she shouldn't be there. For one,
chronological error.
Yes, I think they've also like the dog might be there, and it might be a different flashback, but there's definitely one. I think it's a flashback of when Marge is telling Homer that she's pregnant with Lisa, and he screams and runs out the room, and he runs up the stairs past a picture of like 8-year-old Lisa.
Oh, that's spooky. That's Kubrick-esque.
It is. Maude, the whole scene like before this, leading up to this, is like people like Mo and Wiggum and possibly Apu saying to Homer, like, increasingly, Patty and Selma have told everybody in town that Marge is pregnant, and people keep dropping, like, starting off with just like congratulations, and the last one is Mo, who just says, "Way to get Marge pregnant," and he says that's an abstract way of telling me congratulations on my new job, but like, thank you.
Yes.
And then he comes home, and then Maude drops the bombshell on him, and maybe this is why he probably already didn't like her, but this certainly isn't going to help in the relationship between Homer and Maude, because he will probably in some way blame Maude for the arrival of Maggie now.
Well, do it for her. In the end of the day, you know, the whole theme of the episode is that Homer's kind of trapped by this third kid. However, really, you know, he's not. He hasn't tried to move anywhere or do anything else anyway. So really,
no.
And Maude is the only one, and again, you can't, you know, Homer might judge her unreasonably and unfairly, but she's the only one who didn't attempt to give it away.
Yeah, she was the only one who, again, because she's nice, I imagine this is why they picked Maude to be the person who delivered this line out of those women, because it kind of shows that Maude is not just thinking about Marge being pregnant, she's also thinking, oh, and Homer got a new job, I should say. Congratulations. Which also means that Maude, at this point with Homer, still has some level of, you know, like pleasantries. Like, she doesn't want to be outright rude to him yet, which is interesting.
Yeah, I think maybe there's ups and downs, because it can't be that long after. It's within a year that the boob incident happens, and then the chicken bone incident, and basically several big run-ins with Homer in which he has zero respect for Maude Flanders. But at that point, it looks like, they're on a bit of a high. Do you think there was a decline after that, or do you think this was just a relatively calm point in their highs and lows of their interactions?
I think things must be pretty calm, because they've already been there for like 6 years or so, since like they moved into that house when Bart was like a young child, I believe. And from the Ann Landers thing that we saw, which I'm working on some kind of little timeline for Maude with actual like set dates that won't play out. I just want to see how it lines up. But Ned says something about it being 4,000 days since the Ann Landers incident, which is roughly 11 years. And so that's the earliest we've seen her. So they were already in that house 11 years ago.
And we've speculated they moved in quite a long time before that, right? We've speculated they've been there 20 or so years.
Yeah. Yeah. So this can't be the first. They're probably just having a lull, like you said. I can't see them living together for so long, because that would imply that Maggie was sort of the reason that Homer became much worse. And I would argue that Maggie is probably Homer's favourite of the three children.
Maggie is probably in some way actually calmed Homer down by making him have less energy and be more busy. And he's got a little bit older. So you got to kind of assume that the bad stuff he's doing now is actually pales into comparison to the bad stuff he's done before. So, there may be a very ripe, and who knows, maybe we'll hear about it in Maude's diary. There may be a very ripe, fertile period in that first 6 years of some real run-ins between the Flanders and the Simpsons. But at this point, it looks like they're on a pretty good footing.
Yeah, and it's nice to see Maude out and about with the ladies of Springfield without any hostility. She seems to be, everybody's having a nice time at the baby shower. And if anybody's the villain, it's Patty and Selma.
Patty and Selma, because they don't like Homer really, right? So they're more digging it to him than anything else.
They aren't. If Maude doesn't like Homer, then Patty and Selma have some kind of unnamed emotion towards him. Negative emotion.
An emotion that is beyond hatred in the scale of emotions.
Yes. If we are saying that Maude hates Homer, then from her subtle jibes, then Patty and Selma, who bought a tombstone for him after they believed that he died, certainly. I'm pretty sure it says something like our lives are richer with him being gone. Something like that on the tombstone as well. So Maude should... I wonder if Maude spent any time with the Bouvier sisters.
I mean, it would be interesting to have the three of them get together over a Bacardi Breezer and really rip Homer a new one. That would be a fly on the wall for that conversation.
Yes.
So, clip 4, last one for today. This is a teaser for episode 17, which Bart's comet is going to pop up with. There's a lot of Maude in and out of there. So the Simpsons are at the door of a nuclear fallout shelter that Ned has built, seemingly in his backyard. And Neddy says, "I knew this would happen, so I built the shelter big enough for both of our families." And opens the door to see Rod and Todd and a rather placid and duck face. More just stirring there. Yes, the end of the world is nigh, but there'll be another one along, it's time. It's time for the end of the world to come, and heaven awaits me, etc., etc. Homer says, "No deal, out," and attempts to kick Ned and maybe the entire family out of this very well stocked nuclear fallout shelter. Now, we'll find out a little bit more about the details, but my first question was, does Maude agree to this madness, or does she put up a fight, or?
I think she's on board because, again, I think, what's that phrase? Fail to prepare to fail.
Yeah.
So I think that is a motto that the Flanders probably run the business by, because they've got a bomb shelter for a start.
Yeah.
And Ned had the foresight to know that. I would argue that Maude maybe said, maybe you should make this shelter big enough for next door, because they are going to, if anything happens, they are going to come to this bomb shelter. But what she didn't expect is that the rest of town would also want to come in. So that's sort of a fault in her stars.
Yeah, fault in her logic that, yes, the next door neighbours will come in. And as much as we dislike them after them throwing apple pie in our face, etc., throwing their dirty trousers into our tree, we don't actually want them to burn. And then if you follow that logic through, it's like, but you do want everybody else in the town to burn. And so it's weird that that Maude would go out on a limb and attempt to save the Simpsons, but not, let's say, Apu or even the Wiggums, including Sarah Wiggum, relation, as we speculated to ourselves, but not out loud before. It feels like she would have at least attempted to bring her possible relations in rather than those ruffians from next door.
Well, I see it slightly differently in that I don't think she made the suggestion out of kindness, but just out of preparation, very matter of factly. Like, I don't think it was, we should make room for next door because I want to save them. It was more, we need to make room for next door because if we don't, they are going to come into this shelter and we will not have enough space.
I do also think there's a Maude that would say, we're not going to make room for them, but we're just going to make sure we lock the door and pretend that we can't hear them outside.
Yeah, I imagine when the door, we don't see inside the shelter when the door is knocked, but I can see Maude just turning and shaking her head at Ned, even before hearing who it was.
Yes, but definitely when she heard like Homer's loud voice through the thick steel door, just putting her finger to her lips and just telling everyone to be quiet and hopefully they'll go away, and the fallout from the nuclear attack will incinerate their bones and we won't have to deal with them anymore in this post-apocalyptic landscape.
There's every chance there was a race. Like, Ned could have had to rush Rod and Todd in, knowing that if Maude got in there first, she would lock herself in completely alone.
That is a very dark road, but it's one that we've explored before, and there's definitely a chance that Maude, given this opportunity, would have locked them all in and ignored everybody else, with the knowledge that should it push comes to shove, there's 3 tasty meals there for her, or yes, just locked them out. So actually it's quite perplexing, and we'll get into this next week, why she acquiesces to allow the entire town to come in, almost certainly rendering all of their supplies useless and basically damning all of them.
Yeah, I also think as a teaser for the next one, she flip-flops more than we've seen her in terms of what she's thinking and what she's doing and the ideas and sort of like morals she has. In the whole time she spends, everything we see of Maude in this next episode is pretty much inside this bomb shelter. And there's a lot of it happen internally, but yeah, there's a few ideas that crop up and a few things that happen that she's super quick to be on board with and then super quick to go back on that idea.
Flip-flopper, eh?
Yeah, but I don't want to say.
Don't give too much away, but I do hope that there's an extensive diary entry that at some point we'll hear, explaining and giving us an insight into the highs and lows of those decision makings and the emotional turbulence that led to flip-flopping. But now, it's time for a segment that we haven't actually done properly for a while because it's a mod art. Now, we got into looking at your fantastic face-forward Simpsons that you have on the Instagram platform, which are fantastic. But we haven't done a non-Nathan and art piece for a good chunk of time. Now, we have one today. So I'm going to share my screen with you in a moment. And you've seen it already, and you know it. It's from Instagram, and it's by the artist Simpsons Ruin Art. Now, this artist essentially takes established paintings of many, many different styles, and they paint and draw in a style that sometimes fits in really well with it. In this particular one, they've gone more towards making Maude very Simpson-esque, and she just stands out like a sore thumb. However, it still works beautifully. And so they've taken this traditional painting by Lily Martin Spencer, Domestic Happiness, painted in 1849, and they've inserted, she has inserted, because I believe it is a female Simpsons Ruin Art, I looked at some of her work, and she's inserted Maude into the background of this picture. So if you give me a second, I will share my screen with you. So what we have here is a young couple adoringly look at essentially a young child of theirs, maybe 3 years old, cradling an even younger child, a baby. And Maude is just kind of like glaring over their shoulder in this kind of like shocked way, which the facial expression puzzles me. but it's fantastic, as pretty much all these Simpsons ruin art are. They're always very funny. She always chooses a really interesting character to throw in the background, and Maude doesn't pop up very much. I think she's in 2 or 3 that I found. We could talk about those another time, but this is a beautiful piece of artwork.
Yeah, I have many things to say, and all of them are positive. This is one of my favourite things. There's a lot of weird niche Simpsons things that have come out in the last, particularly the last 4 or 5 years, like the steamed ham stuff, there's a Take on Me version of that steamed ham scene, and it's all getting very niche and specific. And this is one of the better ones, because you can sort of see the Simpsons interest, or fan I can't think of how to phrase it, but the person who's doing them, she knows enough about the Simpsons to get the context right on these pictures. She knows which characters will work and why it's funny.
Yeah. So that, well, getting onto that, why do you think in this particular picture of domestic bliss, a domestic happiness, why do you think she chose Maude, and why do you think Maude's got such a strange expression on her face?
This is certainly a painting I could see hanging in the Turnbull house, or possibly the Goodman house. Maybe it was passed down. Maybe it's still in the Flanders house. I don't know. I can't think of why they've chosen Maude. Initially, I thought there might have been some kind of nudity going on, and that's why she's shocked, but there isn't. It's just sort of if anything, it's kind of a parallel of Ned, Maude, Rod and Todd. Even the kid at the back's got curly hair. So it could be Maude post-death, sort of looking at her own circumstances through that mirror of art, and lamenting the fact that she's dead and no longer has these moments to cherish.
Oh, that's a beautiful interpretation, a very Twilight Zone-esque, of somebody who from beyond the grave is looking down at their own family situation of what was and what never will be again. Oh, it's chilling.
Maybe. And here's a strange thought that could work, but maybe after death in this Twilight Zone Maude episode, when you die, you get put into paintings, and you move from painting to painting through your afterlife.
That's interesting. That sounds like it might have been done before. That's how good that idea is. I think
it sounds like
I've done it.
Like some kind of 18th century Black Mirror.
Yes. I mean, obviously you got things like Dorian Gray, where the dude keeps a painting of his younger self, and then you've got the Hogwarts stuff where those talking living paintings are people from the past. But the idea of you existing in some kind of art world where you skip between paintings, that's a great idea. It's a great idea, Nathan. I'd like to watch that episode of Ye Olde Worldy Black Mirror. Anything else to say on that painting other than just to say, Simpsons ruin art, you are doing a wonderful job. Please continue.
No, I'd just like to second that and give it 10 Maudes out of 10.
Hooray. 10.5 Maudes out of 10.4. So that's brought us to the end of our allotted 60 minutes, probably about 50 once it's edited down. So it's time for the song, unless you got something else to add.
No. We can do a diary page if you want.
Well, I do want. We don't have much time, so maybe choose a shorter one. And, let's not outstay our Maude welcome with these good people. But give me one of your shorter entries.
I have a page from the baby shower.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Let's get that perspective.
It's from after the baby shower. It says,
"Hi diary, it's Maude again. I've just got back from Marge's baby shower with I took my friend Ruth, who nobody else knows, but I thought I'd take her to show her the town. She lives out of town or something, but maybe she's going to buy a house here sometime. I thought it would be the best of me to congratulate Homer on, I found out he's got a new job at the bowling alley, which is somewhere that I frequent, so I know that he likes it too. So I thought I would, as one bowler to another, I thought I would congratulate him but the Todd hit the fan, and I accidentally revealed to him that his wife is pregnant, which I think he probably would have caught on anyway. We were at the baby shower, and eventually he would have found out, but I feel somewhat responsible. That being said, I will sleep well tonight. I'm going to go and clip some Ann Landers. Good night, diary. Love, Maude. Landers.
Mrs. I do like how she does treat, as we said earlier, from the diary quote, she treats that diary with a lot of respect. So, well, that's interesting. Yeah, and of course it was the bowling alley job, because I was thinking it was this is the Do It For Her episode, though, isn't it? Where he goes back to the nuclear power plant and he has the board saying Do It For Her.
Yeah, he quits the plant to get a job at the bowling alley because they're financially stable, and then when they find out Maggie's coming, he has to go back to the plant.
So I wonder, what's the woman called again? Ruth? And that's
Ruth Powers.
Ruth Powers, and that's Maude's friend. I wonder, could it be Janice Hubler? Maybe her name was Janice Ruth Hubler. She got married and took her middle name and became Ruth Powers. What are the chances of that being the case?
It's possible, but I think it's more likely that she was around. She was the third of a trio of female friends growing up, but Ruth was always the one that she was the black sheep because she's kind of a tomboy.
Interesting, though, because, obviously if coming in from Fargo, but I guess they may have just moved to be closer to each other or heard about this great place of Springfield. The other thing is when you said that Todd hits the fan, do you know, like in the northeast of England, that Todd is sometimes used to mean shit?
No, I did not know that.
So I listened to the Athletico Mints podcast, which is great. And Bob Mortimer does the character like the nonsense Potter. And he also always calls people Todd warriors and talks about Todd. And I think from context, Todd is another word for shit. So good there.
So that means that's interesting that we have a word in the north. You say the northeast?
Yeah.
We have Todd as a word in the northeast. We have Maude as a word in the northwest. I wonder if Rod and Ned come into the north and the north south.
Yeah, who knows? So
the last thing I want to throw in as a speculation is that when we talked about Maude having a confidant, the two people I have in mind are either Ruth Powers or Edna.
Both of which are worth an exploratory a few minutes to explore that idea. But that won't be today, Nathan. We definitely run up against that clock. So it's time for the song, the post-mortem. And who is going first?
Me.
Good, it is your turn, but I didn't want to presume.
Lily painting.
A dolled up like Lecter.
Bowling job congratulate.
A motionless back of head of Maude.
Meryl Streep.
Streep, 'cause Maude loves a mob. We see her for a second and then she's gone.
Garbage pants.
Ooh, they're dirty and they're awful. I'll just be ready with this garbage bag.
Dragged around the garden, pants on head.
False start. It's windy today. You've got a new job, Homer.
Aaron A. Aronson.
You've got a new job, Homer.
Zabowski.
I'm waving at you 'cause you got a new job, Homer.
Got a new job.
You got a new job, Homer. I'm staring placid at the end of the world.
Incorrect, Ruth Powers.
Incorrect, Ruth Powers.
Incorrect, Maude Flanders.
Incorrect, Maude Goodman.
The end.
The end. We did it. We steered that ship through those muddy waters and all the way home. Episode 16 in the bag. Who would have thought it? Not me.
16 and many to come.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, Sonny Bobo.
Bye.
Son of Sonny Bobo, copyright claim stuff. I am
Another day.
Sonny Bobo, and I troll the internet for copyright claims.
From beyond the grave.
Beyond the grave. The son of Beyond the grave.